If you could sum up the 5 dangerous spots that we get stuck on.
But, for example, uh, there are only two money problems. We make too little or we spend too much.
Yeah.
For example, if you just know the very, very basic principle, that would be the first, uh, uh, dangerous spot. And the second one is if you're making more money, you feel the need to spend more. You feel like I'm eligible for spending more because I make more money. That is a dangerous second spot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the third spot would be you lose yourself when you make more money and when you make less money. Either way, it's nothing to do with your self-worth.
Insight and Awareness Spiritual Explorer. Soul intuitive, emotional and spiritual mentor and award-winning author Lorraine Nylon.
Welcome, explorers. Today we've got a special guest and his name is Ken Honda, and he's a Japanese best-selling self-development author. And his books have surpassed 7 million copies. So we have really got someone that knows about self-development. And his special skill is to explain our relationship with money. His latest book is called Happy Money, The Japanese Art of Making Peace with Your Money. I am so privileged to have you here, Ken. Could you tell us what the difference is between happy money and unhappy money?
Hello, Lorraine, and I'm so happy to be here. So thank you so much for inviting me. I just wanted to appreciate you for doing this together with me. I have been writing books on happiness and money for the past 20 years. And when I first realized about the difference between happy money and unhappy money is when I was 7 or 8 years old. My father was a successful tax accountant, and he invited guests from his office on holidays to my home. So his first son, could get to see his clients. So I saw very happy clients, and also with a lot of money, and also not happy clients with a lot of money, and clients without any money and happiness. So as a child, as a 8 or 9 year old boy, I really saw what money makes and how money makes a man. So the difference between happy money and unhappy money is happy money makes you smile when you receive it. And when you pay the bills, it makes them very happy. Whereas unfortunately, 95% of us are in the flow of unhappy money, which means that when we receive money, we feel squeezed, like, oh, I wish I could get more. And when we spend money, when we pay bills, we feel so frustrated. Why is this electricity bill so ridiculous? The food and the gas. So this unhappy money makes you feel very small. So it's the same money, but it's how we relate to money.
Yeah, because money, like equates to me as also survival. So, like when you feel fearful of your survival, it sort of creates this tension around everything that's connected to that. And
Yes.
yeah, and the more stressed and the more tension that we build about our survival, the more we have, I suppose, unhappy money.
Yes. And funny thing is, even if you make enough money, you must be comfortable if you're making $100,000 or even more. But for them, since the cost of keeping up, the cost of things are higher for them. They're used to going to better restaurants, buying more expensive clothes, and all that. So their cost is much more high. At the end of every month, they're as broke as the other people who are making less money. So the stress of money uh, catches up with you.
Yeah, and I think people forget that when they're watching, like because people compare themselves to others, and then they look at their what they perceive someone's lifestyle might be. And as you get older, what you realize is some people are living on credit and they actually don't own anything, or their bills per month are equivalent to what they're earning. So someone with less money but more money consciousness can actually be living a higher lifestyle because they're not living in that stress.
Yeah. So unless you change the way you relate to money, you keep being miserable for the rest of your life, because more money doesn't necessarily solve all the money related stress.
What do you see as people's biggest problem in relation to their money relationship, how they relate to their money?
Yeah, I think it's emotional stress around money, because when we spend money, we feel like we want to make more and spend more. It's almost like this hungry monster, hungry caterpillar is inside, and then we that little monster craves more food, more something, better iPhones and better cars, bigger houses. So if you just listen to your hunger or thirst in you, you become a slave to money. You have to make
Mm.
more money, you have to spend more money, but you don't even question, do I really need this? I think we have more than enough clothes, more than enough shoes, more than enough everything. If you live in a industrialist country, and I haven't met anybody who has only two shoes, or
Mm.
like only two shirts, or one pair of glasses, right? People have multiple pairs of glasses and at least four or five underwears, maybe more. Women tend to collect all the different colors, right? We have enough clothes for the rest of our lives, but when the new season comes in, there's this big campaign on internet or on the store, and then a lot of us get hooked
Mm.
with the new things. So unless we put a stop on how much we need to make money and how much we need to spend, we are constantly driven by this greed and also hunger. And all the marketing companies spend billions of dollars researching on how they trick us into spending more.
Yeah, they're very good at what they do.
Yes, that's why
Yeah,
we are more. That's why we are bigger. That's why we are
yeah.
in a bigger debt, and that's why we are so confused about life.
And what do you think's missing in us that is making us fall for this trap?
I think the concept of feeling enough
Mm.
is not in our civilization yet. So uh, when we just look at our life, and then can we feel, wow, I have more than enough. I have plenty. And then you feel so appreciative of what you have. It doesn't really matter how much money you have, or how many things you possess. It's just a feeling. I have so much. I'm just flooded with so many gifts or material things, and also emotional support. So
Yeah, yeah.
that
It's interesting. I was with someone on the weekend, and they were in a shop, and they paid. We were going on a little adventure, and she paid, and she turned around to me and she said, "That money there is going to go and help the staff so that they get their wages, and it'll help the company that we're now um, planning this weekend with, and so that they can offer more things for people." And she said, when I pay for things, I look to see what the benefit is for other people after I pass that money to them. And I thought that was a lovely way to look at money, is that I'm sharing this resource that I have, and I can see that it's going to benefit these other people. And we've kind of lost that sharing, caring nature, because I thought that was a rarity. I was standing next to someone that actually thought that way.
it's very, very beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. So when we're looking at our relationship with money, what causes us to have so much tension around it? Is it our childhood? Is it what we've been indoctrinated to believe? What do you think
Mhm.
is causing us to have so much tension around our money?
So there's this thing called a game called Money Game, and we didn't know what you're supposed to play, and we were even asked if we were interested in playing the game or not. But I
Yeah.
think after about 5 or 6 years old, we are forced to play the game. When I used to do a volunteer work for my daughter's kindergarten many years ago, and then I asked one of the kids, "What are you going to get for Christmas?" Japanese people are not Christian, but we celebrate Christmas. So
Okay.
he said, "I'm not going to get any." And oh, really? And why is that? And he said, "There are two reasons. One, we are Buddhist, and then two, we are poor." And I was so shocked. I mean, this little tiny boy said, "I'm poor." And who said that? And he said, "My mom." So if you are born and brought up in a place that your parents are fighting for money, fighting about money, and all the money is related to stress, ruining the peace of your family, and then you can feel peaceful. But
Hmm.
after about 5 or 6, you kind of start to realize that if your family is poor or wealthy or comfortable or a little bit above average, you kind of start judging people, judging your friends, judging your parents' car or the size of the house. And then after you become 9 or 10, you are already in the money game, and
Yeah.
and after 20 or 22, we are forced into this money game without a will. And I don't remember signing, "I'm gonna play money game," but we have to play the game, like it
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah, that's true. And it's definitely a way that we scale each other's value. We
Hmm.
look at someone and we go, oh, they're more wealthier than
Hmm.
me. And then we kind of put ourselves in a pecking order. But the money doesn't actually explain who that person is.
Yes, yes. And the tricky thing is, even if you're winning on the third, you could be losing all on the sixth. So
Yeah.
you may be successful in your 30s, but you could lose everything in your 50s. You could be successful in your 60s, but you could lose everything in your 70s. You've seen, your grandfather or your uncle or neighbor does stupid things, and you've seen all the horror stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's we tend to hold on to the money we have, and so as much as we need to, we feel like we need to buy something, we need to hold on to enough asset so we don't have to worry about it. But how much is enough? Is $100,000 or euros enough, or 500,000, or 1 million, or 2 million? Depending on your lifestyle. But the more money you make, as I said, the more costly your life will become. So, like 20 years ago, you thought 500,000 will be enough, and then if you become a little wealthier, like 2 million may not be enough.
Yeah.
So that's why you need to make more money. So the story goes on.
Yeah. I always think money can put you on the chase, that you're always chasing the next, the next, the next. So you don't actually really enjoy where you're at. So it takes you out of the present, and that thirst, the hungry caterpillar, has
Yes,
you chasing for the next thing and the next thing. So you kind of devalue when you do achieve something.
yes. And my mentors just joked about this. The more successful you are, the faster things you want to follow. In your teens, like all the guys want to follow girls who are running, a certain speed. And then when you make more money, you want to drive fast cars, and then first, and then after that, you want to buy helicopters, and then after that, you you wanna just buy a private jet, and then after that you want to go to space. That's
Yeah,
why
yeah, that's true.
it's like all the people who want more want faster things, which is
Yeah.
kind of funny.
And with your mentors, what did you learn the most from them about money?
So my mentor Wahid Takeda, who used to be called Warren Buffett of Japan, he was once a shareholder, major shareholder of more than 100 public companies in Japan, which is very big. He said, knowing enough is the most important thing. So he always said, I have more than enough. I can't believe how much I have. I don't even calculate how much I have. But what I know is like I can live for the rest of my life. So that's why I'm sharing my wealth, is he used to say. So he was very generous with his money. He donates so much money to charity. He just supported artists and musicians and writers and any philanthropist projects that he could think of. So if you feel like you have more than enough, and he used to feel that way when he didn't have any money. That is a key.
Ah, there's a key.
Hmm.
Yeah, to feel you have enough even when you're not sure if you do.
Yes, because
Yeah.
imagine if you're watching this or listening to this, you must have access to internet and you must have electricity and if you have a smartphone, that means you have certain money to pay for it. So if you can start counting your blessing and counting your abundance, you feel different. But instead, we feel like, oh, he got this and she got this, I don't, So I think the shortcut to unhappiness is watch YouTube or Facebook and then look at how your friends are doing. They show the best of their life.
Yeah.
So if you want to feel miserable, go on Facebook and just look at all your flashy friends.
Because it's true, because you're looking at an image. You're not looking at a life, you're looking at an image. And
Yeah.
then you're perceiving it in a certain way, and it's gonna tap into your emotional reaction to that image. And
Yeah. So
yeah.
please don't compare yourself with others because that is a shortcut to unhappiness. So just satisfy with yourself.
Yeah, I think that's a big key in life, right across the board. Don't, acknowledge your own uniqueness and give value to living authentically your way,
Hmm.
and let it, and be celebrating everybody else having the ability to do the same. But as soon as you start comparing, and we've become a real numbers game, number of followers, number of money in the bank, number of, assets. So we calculate our worth a lot by the numbers that we see in front of us, but they don't represent really who we are.
Yes, exactly. So if you can just find other criteria for your happiness and abundance, you can be happy in 2 seconds.
Yeah. So what kind of criteria do you use for your happiness?
I always start counting my happiness when I feel unhappy.
Okay.
So, and not, you should not count your accomplishments, what I have done in my work and all that. That could lead, that could mislead you into unhappiness. So, happiness is a state of being. So, if you can just remember some good memories from your childhood, or something that happened to you in the past for the past week, or somebody said something about you, which is very sweet. Just anything that uplifts you. So that's why I'm telling people we should surround ourselves with generous, kind, and happy people because they tend to react in a positive way, and then they will say more nice things about you. So instead of just counting how much money you have, if you just listen to what all your friends have to say, I think it really gives you a boost to your happiness.
Yeah. And to be a good friend, we should let our friends know how much we do value them and how much we enjoy their company as well.
Yes. And also, the other key is to do what you really love. If you're not doing what you love, you're not living your life. You just do some kind of work to bring food on the table, which is okay, but not great. So if you can at least enjoy 10% of your work or 20% of your work, that brings certain enjoyment. And you would be super lucky if you able to do more than 70% of what you do is what you enjoy. And ideally, if all the things you do is what excites you the most, you're in heaven. You don't need to die to go there.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. I actually really enjoy what I do, and so
Mhm,
and so and that feeds you. I always say it feeds your soul. Like so, and a lot of people, some of my clientele is actually people looking for I call it their soul purpose. What is, a lot of people are confused about what is going to create a sense of fulfillment within them. And,
mhm.
and I often explain to them, well, sometimes it's the journey to finding that you're going to have all these experiences, and what you don't realize is that you are building a foundation underneath you, that by the time you're experiencing something that you really love, you know the difference between this is okay to I love this. Because we get stuck sometimes not knowing what we really enjoy.
Yes, Lorraine, you're so right, and so that's why finding what you love is the most important thing, and we should all make it our priority,
Yeah,
especially when we are younger. And those things could change
yeah.
uh, from your 20s to 40s. So you have to always reevaluate your life and then make sure that you do what you love.
And how did you find you liked explaining the value of money to people? What was your
So
journey?
since I was 20, when I look back, a lot of people ask me about money, because people thought I had a special education from my father for many years. So they asked me, like, Ken, how should I invest? Ken, what do you think I should do? You think I should buy a car? Do you think I should do this and all that? So without just becoming a consultant, I was already counseling other people around money. And also later on, after I have this position of giving advice to business owners, they always ask me, tax issues are like the first 5 or 10 minutes. And then when they sign the papers, they always wanted us to talk about the family issues around money. And later on, it became my forte. But people loved talking about family issues with me, and
Hmm.
that's why I ended up doing a podcast, which hit 52 million downloads. Almost like half the population of Japan have listened to my podcast because people love listening to other people's financial lives, very realistic ones. So I think that's how I became an expert. And also, I love sharing my answers because we get stuck almost at identical places. It's like climbing up the mountains. There are like five different dangerous spots. You have to watch out because a lot of people fall or just injure your ankle because that's what people do. So,
So, so what
yes.
are the five? If you could sum up the five dangerous spots that we get stuck on.
you for example, uh, there are only two money problems. We make too little or we spend too much.
Yeah.
For example, if you just know the very, very basic principle, that would be the first, uh, uh, dangerous spot. And the second one is if you're making more money, you feel the need to spend more. You feel like I'm eligible for spending more because I
Mm.
make more money. That is a dangerous second spot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the third spot would be you lose yourself when you make more money and when you make less money. Either way, it's nothing to do with your self worth. So after you hit your late 20s, you begin to feel happy or not happy around money issues. So those things are something that you should consider. And also maybe the fourth would be your money and your family or your couple. Unless you live alone, you have to somehow manage money with other family members.
Yeah. You
And
need to work.
they usually have different money ideas. For example, husband and wife or husband and husband. One person says we should go to a party. The other one, it's gonna cost so much money. We should not go. So there's always the saver and spender. This struggle that you have to solve that issue. And the last one is the money game will never end. And so you have to know, uh, even if you retire, the other kind of money game will start. So until you pass away on your deathbed, the money follows you. So you have to know you're in the money game. So you have to play it well. You can say I'm not playing, but that means you're losing. If you're not in the butter box, you're you lose automatically, right? So
Yeah.
you cannot stay indifferent in this money game.
Yeah, that's a good point because some people do, like they get I can see people get stuck there. Or and the other thing I can see too is that people have an illusion around money
Hmm.
where they go, "I'll just put myself into so much debt, but, next year I'll earn more money and I'll cover it then." But that often doesn't occur. So their belief and their reality is in two different places. So that creates an illusion that ends up, illusions end up falling apart. So I see that a lot with people as well. So I was always taught, um, whatever your money is, make that your lifestyle. When you get more money, you can change your lifestyle, but never go beyond where you're at, because that way that you don't put that extra stress on yourself, and you can hold that space quite easily. Whereas the world sort of moved a different direction and said, no, 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 you can go in as far as you can go, and then then we can take it off you later on. That's what
Hmm.
I see.
Mm.
That we have this a different mentality around money now to what we used to have.
Yes, and also it depends on individual. So that is what's tricky about money. Uh, if
Yeah,
you uh, if you're born and brought up in the same household, your brothers and sisters could be totally different people.
true.
I talk about money personality types. There are spenders, money makers, and gamblers, and warriors, right? So we are different, and the tragedy and comedy is that the different, totally different types of money types, they are attracted and they get married. That causes a lot of problems.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it's always funny too. And I talk to thousands of people all the time, and I bring a couple on my stage, and in front of 2,000 people, these couples argue. That's what they love about it. So because a moneymaker tends to marry with a spender, you know,
Yeah,
it doesn't really matter if it's female or male. Say moneymaker loves money making, right? But they're not interested in spending money because they get high when they make more money. So they tend to get attracted to spenders because they are usually attractive. They know how to enjoy, so they love spending money, but they need the money. So if they can find a partner who can supply money, that's good, win-win, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
in the beginning of a relationship, it's perfect, a lot of fireworks, expensive dinners, and exotic vacations. But after a few years, this moneymaker starts thinking like, Oh my God, if at the rate of his or her spending, I don't think I can just keep any money. And the other one, things like, I thought we can enjoy life, but all he does or all she does is just business. I'm bored. So,
Yeah.
their marriage fails. So, unless you understand how money influences you, you're going to lose your life. So, you have to really watch it.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's definitely a conversation you should have before you join forces together, whether it's marriage or de facto or whatever. That
Hmm.
that money conversation needs to, at least, because a lot of people don't talk about it. They just have their view and they think the other partner is going to join the party or supply the money, and then vice versa. So then you get in, and it's like people can become quite shocked at the different relationships we do have with money.
Yes, because it's
Yeah.
like we come from different kingdoms,
Yes.
like
Yes.
your parents may be working for government, where your spouse comes from a business background or a doctor's background. So what they think is like they always buy the best quality stuff, and then my father, for example, wanted to buy the second uh, best price because it always carries with its money is worth. The
Yeah, yeah. Get
usually
your
the most
value.
expensive one is highly overpriced, is what
Yeah.
he says, and I think he's true. And uh, my wife is comes from a wealthy business man's background. I know her father is a wealthy business person, so she thinks the best stuff is always carries. So like she goes for the best. I try to go to the second best. So like, why do you buy the most expensive ones? And I think it has the best quality. No, no, no. But if you just buy the second, most valuable stuff, that usually has the best quality. So like different kingdom.
Yeah. I talked, this is going back years ago. I was talking to a guy that had a fruit shop.
Hmm.
And he said, I put oranges in like a bin type thing. He said, they're my cheap ones. And
Hmm.
then I have oranges on this stand that you can pick from. And then I have oranges with tissue paper around them. And he said, they're the same oranges. But if people want to feel like they've bought the cheap ones, they get it for that price. And if people want to do it this price, like, so he said they're paying for the experience, but they're the same oranges. And I, every now and then I think, if I'm shopping, I'll think they're the same oranges, like, you know what I mean? That was his spin on it, which, I was kind of like, but they think they're buying something different. He said they're buying the experience. I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, we could debate that, but I got what his principle was. Yeah, our perception of what is the best and what is the middle ground and what is the worst.
Right.
Um, yeah, it's funny how we orientate to those kind of things.
Yes, and
But
those things should be taught at grade school.
I agree.
But there's so many taboos, so it's almost impossible that to teach at school system because teachers are the least educated around money, so and so they cannot teach them, right? It's like English teachers in Japan, you know, uh, most of the English teachers cannot speak English. I'm so
Andy.
sorry for kids. So they cannot learn from the teachers who don't know the material well, right? So uh,
Yeah.
we are like that. Our parents didn't know about money. Our brothers and sisters, or our neighbors didn't know about money. So who can be a good teacher?
Yeah, and it's a changing thing as well. Like how money works in the world is very, it's we're seeing a lot of changes very quickly. And like, if I talk to someone in their 80s, their perception of the bank is very different to, say, someone now. Like, so, and we see we see more fees than we used to. Like, companies are taking more fees, and the way that we structure our bills and things like that, it's all changed. So they are things that we should teach people to be aware of, because it's hard to compare when you don't understand.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. In your life, what do you think? What's some of the best advice you could give people in general in the self development range? What is it that you wish that everybody knew that took you a lifetime to
Mhm.
understand?
Uh, Once again, it's a teaching of my mentor Wahei. Uh, I once asked him, "What is the secret to money?" He said, "Arigato your money." That means appreciate money coming in and going out.
Okay.
So when money comes in next time, you can say thank you to money. When you spend money next time, when you pay bills, you can say thank you to money for staying with me, and bye bye until I meet you again. But make sure you bring friends when you come back. So
Yes, I would like my money to bring friends back.
that's what you can say, and this makes you laugh and smile, right? So
Yeah.
that is the attitude, and if you can do that, you should extend to arigato your life. Just let's start counting our blessings and small things like a roof above our head, and hot running water, and air conditioning if you have, you're lucky, and if you have you know, transportation or enough clothes or food, whatever you think you have, more than enough.
Yeah.
So if you just start counting that, I have more than enough, I have more, I have like two cups here, like I have more than enough. One is enough, like two is like, wow, luxury, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you can just feel like, wow, I'm impressed with my life, that would be the ideal way. And then when you start worrying about money, just donate some, even a dollar or a quarter or 10 cents to a little cup, in a coffee shop. So you feel like a little better. So
Yeah.
the more you give, the more you know that you have enough.
That's lovely. Actually, I did your course on Mind Valley a couple of years ago, and I moved into a renovator's delight, and I
Mhm.
had to get a plumber,
Right.
and the plumber turned up, and my financial circumstances had completely changed, and I handed him the money for the work he did in cash, and I said, "Oh, here, take some of my happy money, which
Mm.
comes directly off your teachings." And he said, "Why are you calling it happy money?" And I said, "Just because I'm happy I can pay you.
Oh,
That's
nice.
where I'm at. I'm happy I can pay you." And
Beautiful.
yeah. And I always remember that, like, be happy that you can pay people. We ask every guest on the podcast, what does humanity need to acknowledge and understand for us to evolve? So how would you answer that question?
I hope we remember we're connected
Yeah.
emotionally and spiritually. One time, I think it's a Dalai Lama who was asked about compassion. He said, compassion is something that some kind of thorn is stuck on your left foot toe. Compassion is for your right hand to go and pull it. But in the modern world, we often say like, "Oh, that's his problem, not me." Like, why do I have to do that, right? So
I'm
I
not
think,
bending down.
right, yeah, but
Yeah.
or like, for example, if it's a couple, at the end of the day, it's not like it doesn't go like this. The right hand is complaining, "Hey, left hand, lefty, I did all the work. What did you do?" You don't blame each other. So at the end of the day, we feel rested. But unfortunately, we think the right hand is working harder, so I deserve a better pay, and the left hand didn't work as much, so he or she should not get food. That's unfortunately the world we're in. If we know that, remember we're connected, we can treat our brothers and sisters a little bit better, and remember our compassion and generosity to each other.
Yeah, I think compassion is so important. Like it's because if we devalue it, we become hardened and we narrow our view. We can't see the bigger picture. And as soon as we narrow our view, we become more greedy, we become more selfish. And so compassion lets us expand our awareness naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really love it. All right. Well, I think it's time to play Flip the Book. So are you
Okay.
happy to play?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so we have 3 books. I know you can't see them. So would you like book 1, 2, or 3?
Book 3, please.
Book 3. Okay, so that is the Spirituality, Evolution, and Awakened Consciousness book. So you've got pages 1 to 188.
Mm. Okay, the number came in to me is 92, page
92.
92. This is fun.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a mystery, isn't it? So we got 11 paragraphs to pick from.
Mm.
Mm.
So, 8th.
When indifference reigns, freedom is oppressed for both the perpetrator and the victim. So
Mm.
this actually comes under the heading of significance. The chapter's about significance, and it goes into. I'm just going to lead you in a little bit better. So it's because it's a dot point. The top dot point says, when we feel joyful, freedom is felt and becomes an invitation for others to join in. When we are miserable, we lose our awareness of our freedom of choice. When we are kind, freedom is felt and becomes acknowledgement of each other's true value. When we are cruel, freedom is lost and we become a slave to the ramifications of our cruelty. When we express our unconditional love, freedom is felt and encouraged. And the dot point you got was, when indifference reigns, freedom is oppressed for both the perpetrator and victim. How do you feel about those dot points?
Interesting, because that is exactly what we talked about like a few minutes ago.
Yeah,
So, if we are kind, we can remember the freedom, right?
yeah.
So, I think if the kindness is a key to wake us up to the new level of freedom and the new level of abundance and choices. So, um, I think I need to be more awakened in terms of, being more generous, more kind. And so you've given me so much inspiration, during the past
Thank you.
hour or so.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I think freedom, we discount the reality of how important freedom is within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, can I just do another one? I just want to do a soul read for you, and it's
Yes.
about your soul. So, can you give me a number between 185 to 215?
208.
208. Oh, you'll love this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've got 5 paragraphs to pick from.
3.
This is so up your alley because this is
All right.
the core essence. So the core essence is something that is within your soul. It is natural to you, right? And yours has come up with peace.
Mm.
Peace stems from an acceptance of being a naturally significant, unique, independent individual soul from our origins. So whatever you want to refer to from our origins. It is the recognition that you are an eternal soul who can change what you consider success. Being kind, caring, and nurturing yourself and others becomes your assessment of success. Living a life that you feel the truth of your soul resonating with can become how you define success. Peace is the result of knowing what feeds your soul and electing to prioritize your soul being fed. Peace is experienced as you realize that struggling to comprehend the truth of who you are and to come to terms with what you have experienced does not diminish the value of your soul. Struggling means you have not discovered truth or peace yet, but it does not mean you will not. So peace is very important to you.
Yes, it is indeed. So thank you so much. This is such a soul nourishment
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, I think that sums up a lot about what you are conveying to other people,
Hmm.
and you know how you're explaining how to self-develop is through understanding what is success for you and using your kindness and generosity and love and freedom to
Yes,
create
beautiful.
peace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's what a beautiful way to end this great conversation.
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Lorraine. You're so kind and generous, and that's why you're popular. And I hope you just stay so abundant. So I'm sending all my happy love, uh, powerful, happy money energy to you.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to receive that greatly.
And also
Thank you.
all the viewers and listeners, I'm just send you happy money energy.